here I'm going to represent my slide, which is quietly reflecting how we can secure the supply chain. As we already talking about the how we can be resilient on the KSM supply chain, or how we can make an ecosystem. So I think like being into sourcing and procurement side, if I can speak, like KSM resilience is not about having more suppliers on board. I think it's about having the right supplier on board. So we'll talk about that, like why KSM matters first. As everybody knows, KSM, the starting point of the API manufacturing, which can goes to KSM to intermediates, intermediates to API, then the finished formulation, then to the patient. We already had a slide with the Dr. Sharma also. So here some key points arise, like KSMs are important inputs into API manufacturing, and definitely availability of KSM directly impacts on our API production. And when we have any disruption at a KSM level, that can affect entire downstream supply chain. It can affect the API production, then lead to the finished formulation production, and ultimately it will go to the end consumer. As everybody knows, like some critical KSM and the geographical concentration, which here I'm talking about the antibiotic KSMs especially, which is coming from the China. So developing an alternate of KSM source can take significant on the longer time because of the quality what we are getting from the China or the other countries, and the technical and the some of regulatory requirement, which is quite mandatory if we are going to manufacture our finished formulation. So a secure, like I already mentioned, a key message, a secure API supply chain start with a secure KSM supply chain. Now I'll move to the next part. So the exact question comes like, where does the risk sit? The KSM supply chain has multiple risk points. It is not the only one. Like supply concentrations, geographical dependencies, raw material availability, manufacturing capacity, quality issues, regulatory changes, logistics and freights, geopolitical events, and the price volatility. And like when we talk about the supply concentration, so it comes like if we are having urgency of the material, so how we can maintain those supply concentrations? Are we going to buy it by air, by sea, or maybe by road, which is quite difficult, or you can say impossible if we are buying it from China? That can be sustained if we are manufacturing those particular KSM with our Indian manufacturer, which can be quite expensive in terms of Chinese. Then we come to the geographical dependencies, as everybody aware about, like when we talk about the geographical dependency about the KSM. So yes, China rules us on that part, because 60 to 70% KSM or the intermediates, even I would say critical KSM or the intermediates, comes from the China, where through the government PLI scheme, many of the manufacturer in India also start producing, but it's not in that way what we thought that it could work, which cannot be done right now. It will take a decade, I think so. Of course, it depends on the raw material availability also. If we are going to select it supplier A, supplier B, or maybe supplier C. So whether they are relying on the same raw material source partner, or they are having a diversification with their raw material availability. Then it comes to the manufacturing capacity on the supplier side, like whether they are having good capacity, how the India needs or their country needs. And that we come to the quality issues. If we are going to supply a finished formulation to the some of specific market, or to even to the India, so nobody can compromise with the qualities. It matters a lot. And same come to the regulatory changes. As we know, we are evolving Many things keep changing in the terms of regulatory part also. Regulatory, like we need multiple documentation when we are going to supply take on board. Logistic and freight, yes, this is the critical part of the supply chain, and it can be very volatile when, just like we have a recently geopolitical problems, geographical issues in terms of war. So it plays a main role how you are maintaining the logistic and freight. So this is the very critical key risk area in the KSM supply chain. I'll move for the next slide towards the cost of dependency. Like lowest cost does not always mean the lowest supply risk. Traditional approach was I'm into sourcing and procurement almost since 8 years. So what I've seen in those years, like where we used to approach the traditional sourcing approach, like we should go for the lowest purchase price, or we are just relying on the single source. How does it matter? We are getting the material on time. Or short-term buying. Generally, people doesn't maintain the inventory. If I talk about the mid-sized companies, their decision always the price focused, or it's a very they rely on the procurement team. Honestly, they think like, if I'll say okay, we need this material, so we can arrange within very short span, maybe in a day or day two. I don't know whether procurement person having magic stick or not, but most of the companies think on that way. Then gradually we are moving to the resilient approach, where we work on the total supply cost. It's not about the just purchasing, because purchasing is just a part of the whole supply chain. When we talk about the supply chain, it starts from the sourcing to deliver the goods to a factory, and after that we move to the qualified multiple sources. Multiple sources does not mean having multiple supplier. Multiple sources does mean having a right supplier on board. They should be having good capacity to support you. They should be having good service, delivery service to support you, and vice versa. You have to maintain those relationship along with them to get these kind of benefits. So that comes to the strategic supplier partnership, where we both are sharing the partnership. They are giving us a right material with the right quality, right time, and we are giving them some support, running their cash flow on time, maintaining the supply relationship. So I can say, instead of asking who can offer the lowest price, we should focus who can provide the reliable supply at the right quality, at a sustainable cost, and at the right time. So here I would say, to the best of my knowledge and as per my experience into the pharmaceutical industries, 5 pillars of KSM resilience, what makes a KSM supply chain resilient nowadays. First is the supply diversification. Develop, like I was talking, and Dr. Mandal and Dr. Sharma already talked about it, like supply diversification should very necessary into the industry, that we have to develop the alternate qualified sources to support our finished formulation manufacturers and the API manufacturers. Next, come to the supply development. When we are working with the supplier, improving our capability, quality, and reliability. So that's come to that you have developed the right supplier. Then it's come to the quality and regulatory readiness. If we are going to develop a new supplier or an alternate supplier, then it should start with their qualification, whether they are falling in your qualifying like specification, how much they can match your specification, what you are looking for, being from the regulatory point of view, and what kind of documentation they are carrying. And still, if it doesn't match, because on documents you can say anything, like Dr. Sharma was telling us, on document they are very good, but when you are going to audit them, so how good they are in terms of supporting the regulatory requirements. So this is the very critical part of the KSM resilience also. Then we come to the supply chain visibility, like how far we can see supply chain visibility, like it comes to the geopolitical events, it's come to the geographical problems, issues. So, and the supplier capacity, how much supplier can produce, and their raw material availability also. So we have to check all these things while we are taking supplier on board and we are partnering with them. And the last but not least, like a strategic partnership, which plays a really main role. If you are having a good relationship with the supplier, they definitely will support you in your hard times. So this plays a very main role when you are being into procurement. I would say it plays a really very good role when you are having a good partnership with your business partners. uh, Next, come to the supplier diversification. As I'm talking since beginning, two suppliers do not always mean two independent source. As of now, current situation, we are dealing with supplier A, which is having common raw material source, or you can say your primary source. Then we goes to the critical KSM supplier B, and we are having same common raw material source for the critical KSM. Now we are talking about resilient approach. So here we can do like supplier A should be qualified source, supplier B also should be a qualified but as an alternate source. And supplier C we can keep like alternate geographical backup. Like if we are buying any critical KSM from China, so we can try to get another source from another country, maybe US, maybe Europe, maybe Japan, maybe in India. So in India also it can be developed, as Dr. Mandal said, like it can be developed. Developing is not a problem, but problem is the like whether we are going to make it consistent, how far we can be sustained for the same KSM or the intermediate. So here is the thing, like India, China, how we are managing dependency through partnership. Because like this is the same message which Dr. Sharma already told us. The objective is not to eliminate the dependency, it is to manage it. Everybody knows China is having large manufacturing base. They are having their own ecosystem. They have their KSM factories, intermediates factories. They are having their API factories, formulation factory in the same I would say same place, at the same place they are having it. If I talk about here in India, India also having this ecosystem, but I can take those name. There's only 2-3 companies who are doing this. If I say a name, just like Hetero, just like maybe Aurobindo, maybe Varchao. So, who's the big companies who's doing and following this ecosystem to sustain in India. So here we are partnering with China, and China is also buying some of intermediates, some of materials from India, because here I'm handling both of the markets. So I know what kind of product China is taking from India. Uh, for India, everybody knows like India is getting 60-70% material from China. But yes, China is also dependent on us for some of material, not so much, but yes, it's there. So my next slide is refer to from procurement to strategic KSM management. As of now, the role of procurement is changing. It's not like old typical procurement, like we get the quotation, we sign the order, we send to the supplier, and finally we get it delivered. So here what we are doing right now, like as of now, we float the requirement to the supplier before sending the requirement, we are identifying the supplier as per their as per their documentation, whether they are qualifying on our things or not, as per the raw material availability, whether how what is the lead time they are following, how much they can support for my urgency. So we are going to get the material on time. Before getting the material, we are analyzing other things also, like if it's really critical or really urgent material, we have to identify the freight things also, how we are going to get it in at on board to the factory, to our plant. So this is how we are managing procurement to the supply of the KSM right now. And here come like how can pharma companies build KSM resilience. I know it's not so up to the mark, but yes, we can somehow work on this. Step one, like identify the critical and high risk KSM, which I told, like critical and high risk KSM falls into the antibiotic KSMs or the intermediates. I would say like the 6AP or the 7AVCA, 7GCLE. So these kind of KSM still we are importing from the China. Then map the supplier and raw material dependency. So when we are going to get a product, we should map supplier as per our qualifying sources and their raw material dependency, where they are getting their raw material. And step 3, develop qualified alternate supplier. Yes, this is the important role of being into procurement. We have to be having not only two, we must be having 3 to 4 suppliers on board. So our supply chain or our production should not affect in any way. And then strengthen supply relationship. So as I already told in previous slide, the strengthening the supply relationship plays a very main role into the supply chain, because if you are supporting the supplier in any way, they are going to definitely support you in multiple ways. The 5 step: maintain appropriate inventory and the safety stock. So being into procurement or the PPIC, this is the very basic, or most of the people know it, like maintaining the appropriate inventory for the quarter or maybe for the half yearly as per your budget. And that's up to the company budget also, of course. It's not someone's hand, it's the company's. If company budget is allowing, or the material shelf life also, if material shelf life is if 1 year only, then you cannot keep material for quarterly basis or the 6 month basis. The sixth one is the regulatory review and the monitor supply chain. So yes, regularly review and monitor supply chain. When we are going to get the material, and we have to check our inventory on regular basis. The safety stock, we should not rely on the production team, or they can use the material anytime. This is my personal experience. So you have to keep an eye when is going to material consume. So accordingly, you can maintain your upcoming orders, and you can save your production, or you can save your plant which is running 24 hours. So my key message, like resilience must be built before the disruption comes. Like this is the simple message: keep backup before the breakup. This is the same message: resilience must be built before the disruption. So let's come to the conclusion. Like securing KSMs is equal to securing pharmaceutical supply. And there's a 3 key takeaways from my side. That first, know your dependencies. Definitely understand where your KSMs and their raw material comes from. So these are your dependencies. Then build alternatives before you need them. So don't rely on 1 or 2 source. I think you should keep identifying the alternate source every time and always, and which will keep your sourcing alive also if you do that. And the third one, build partnership, not just purchase orders. So this is the main important role when you are going to meet any suppliers. The meeting suppliers definitely strengthen your relationship. Long-term collaboration improves visibility, planning, and supply reliability.